Recording in progress. There we go. So you want to sit up on a couple of cushions for this. This is a little bit of leg massage just to help with puffy legs, puffy ankles. Sit up on something so that you helping yourself really to give yourself a bit more space so you can do this. You're going to start with, oh, what's that? No, that's okay. You're going to start with whichever leg you like. So maybe your right leg, I'll swap sides. Maybe your right leg here. And what we're going to do is we're going to just think about moving the fluid in the leg up towards the groin. So just really helping lymphatic drainage, really helping the direction of that fluid build up, come back up and be processed by the body. So just starting with your thigh, you bring your left hand just underneath your thigh and your right hand to the outside of the thigh. And then you're going to sweep your hands up, so just around the back of your leg, up and up towards your hip. So it doesn't have to be a firm movement. You're just starting at sort of the bottom of your leg, sweeping up and up to the top. So you might have to kind of lean away from it a bit. If you can't do both hands, just use the outside hand. So if your bump's in the way and you can't reach, just do the outside hand. But you're sweeping around and up, around and up. And you can slowly work your way down your leg. So either one hand, both hands, just smooth movements. And it's actually better to use flatter hands so you get more connection to the skin, the tissues, and sweeping up. And you can do that a couple of times. So once you've kind of worked your way down to the knee, you can go back to the top. And you're starting underneath the leg, sweeping up to the top of the leg towards the hip. So you're trying to encourage that flow up towards the hip. And just do it a couple of times. Sweeping up. And start again at the top. So you can do this maybe like 3 or 4 times. Whatever works for you, it really doesn't matter. Okay, and then bring your hand to the back of your knee. Fingertips around the back of your knee, and you're just going to sweep. Oh, sorry, that's my dishwasher ending. Sorry about that. You're just going to sweep the back of the knee, the direction up towards your body, and then over the top, just above the knee. So sweeping along the back of the knee and around to the top. You're sweeping around. So you might use a bit more fingertips there. That's a little bit of a smaller area, so it's harder to use the bigger parts of your hand. But you want to get into that back of your knee area where there's that soft tissue and then sweep it up. In and round, in and round, in and round. Okay. And then coming to the outside of your leg, you're just going to take flat hands and sweep all the way up the outside of your leg. And you can kind of work from the knee up towards the hip and then start again. Again, if you can only get one hand onto the outside, then just use the outside hand. Sweeping up, nice gentle strokes, not too much pressure. Okay, lovely, that's enough. Then you're going to take one hand to the back of your calf and one hand to the front of your shin. You're going to squeeze and draw the skin up towards your knee. So just gentle squeezing and drawing up. Now this is where it might get a bit tricky. So you might have to kind of place your leg out to the side. You might have to swap around with the hands. It really doesn't matter. Squeezing in and pulling gently up. And you can do that again when you're ready. So one hand on top, one hand beneath, squeezing in, lifting up. Oh, hi, Jackie. You're back. Okay, and then maybe one more time. Squeezing in, lifting up. So what we're trying to do is just encourage the flow of the lymph fluid back up through the lymph channels. We've got all these little tiny channels that drain away, that circulate fluid around our body. And we're just seeing if we can encourage that back up. Work your way down your leg, and then just for good measure you can just sweep across your feet. So start at the top if you can reach your foot, sole of the foot, top of the foot, around the ankle, wherever you can reach, then up the legs up the legs, just brushing all the way up, all parts of the leg if you can, all the way up. And do that one more time. Sweep up the feet, up around the ankles, all the way up the back of the leg, sides of the leg, across the knee, back of the knee, inner and outer thigh, all the way up to the top. Then just sit for a moment, however, see how that leg feels, if you notice any difference. Take a nice breath. You might notice a difference already. It may have kind of had an effect, but we're going to swap over to the other side. So one hand on the inside, one hand around the back, and you're sweeping around and up towards the hip, or something like that if you can't quite reach. Around and up towards the hip. And work your way slowly down the leg towards the knee. And then once you've got to the knee, you can come back up high and start again. So if you can only do the outside hand, again, just do that, or you could take it inside and then outside. That feet, that gentle sweeping up. Gentle sweeping up. Gentle sweeping up. One more time. It feels so nice. I wish someone else was doing this. Very nice, very relaxing. Okay, and then we'll come to the knee. So we're going to put both hands behind the knee, and we're going to just get into that soft tissue behind the knee nice and gently, and sweep up and around to the front of the knee. Up and around to the front. Up and around to the front. Up and around to the front. Nice gentle strokes. Okay, one hand on the front of the shin, one hand on the back of the leg, gentle squeeze and stretch up. Squeeze the skin and stretch it up. Again, you might have to change where your leg is, you might have to change hands. Gentle squeeze and lift. So it's not a deep, deep pulling, it's just a really gentle sense of lifting up, squeezing up. And you could imagine that all those little channels are just getting that guide, like move up, move back up, out of my feet, out of my legs, move the fluid. And you can come to the ankle, do that as many times as you comfortably can. And this is the one that maybe your partner could do for you really easily. They can just sit opposite you and kind of push gently your legs back up. Okay, and then we'll just start that sweeping. So you could do it with one hand or both hands, cross the feet, round the ankles, up the back of the legs, sides of the legs, across the knee, behind the knee, back of the thighs, sides of the thighs, up towards the hip. And then start again if you can. Sweepy, sweepy. So not too much pressure, just really light. And then when you've done, just come to sit in any comfortable cross-leg position, or if you're not feeling comfortable with your legs crossed, you can have them out long, or you could kneel over your cushion or your bolster if you've got one, and just come to a seated place and take a pause. Have a moment to notice your legs. They may feel a little different, they may feel a bit more alive, you might feel a bit more aware of them, which is always a good thing. Notice if the legs could be a little bit more relaxed. See if you can grow a little taller through the crown of your head. So we're going to bring in Jolanta's idea of creating space now. So take a moment and I want you to notice the spaces in your body. So can you notice the space in between the eyebrows? Just bring your awareness to that space. See if you can, with your attention and awareness, soften that space and imagine it becoming a bit wider. Can you notice space around your eyes? Can you notice the space of your eyes inside their sockets as well? Can you just feel that around your eyes, around your eyeballs, there's space? Can you notice space on the sides of the jaw and in between the back teeth and in your mouth? If that means you have to gently relax the jaw and just let that whole area release a bit to create that feeling of space, then go ahead. Can you make a little bit more space between the tops of your shoulders and your earlobes? Just feel them dropping away. Notice the space under your armpits, the spaces between your hands and fingers. Imagining space between every vertebrae in your spine. Notice the spaces between your ribs and the space around your baby or babies. So the sac that they're in is full of fluid, but that's spacious. There's room for them to move, although it doesn't feel like it for you, maybe. And thinking of all that space around their body. Space in the hips, the knees, between all of your toes. Then notice your inhale rising, the breath moving into your belly, into that space, into the sides of the ribs. Notice your exhale slowly falling. See if you can find a space between your breaths. So not holding the breath, but just noticing at the top of the inhale. You don't have to rush. You can just pause for a moment as the breath tips over into that long, slow exhale. And at the bottom of the exhale, some space, some stillness. You can close your eyes if you like. Noticing all the spaces in your body. Lovely. We're going to bring our hands up. If your hair's down, you can bring your fingers, your hands inside your hair, sort of onto the scalp. But if your hair's up and you don't want to let it down, you can just interlace the hands on the back of the head. Dip the chin towards the chest, but stay long in the rest of the spine. And just let your arms hang forwards and draw the neck into a little bit more space. So in between each vertebrae, a sense of opening. Lengthening at the base of the skull. Slowly lifting the head up. Keep the right hand on top of the head. Bring the left hand down to the side. Instead of bringing the fingertips together, keep them apart and place them on the floor. And then let the head gently come over towards the right. And think about space between your earlobe and your shoulder. And breathe into that space. Let the jaw be soft with a space between the back teeth. And slowly let the head rise, coming over to the other side. So placing that right hand down, the left hand guiding the head. Not pulling, just gently using the weight there. Soften. Space between the back teeth, space between the earlobe and the shoulder. Really nice. Releasing that, bringing it all the way back down. And just take a moment to adjust position. So maybe cross the legs a different way, or you could take them out in front of you if that felt better. Whatever works for you. And we're going to bring our hands onto our heart center and take a moment to connect with the space underneath our hands. So this energetic space full of self-love, full of our feelings for other people, our compassion for ourselves and others. See if you can imagine the energy of that space and lift your sternum into your hands a little bit. Feel the movement of breath there. And with your next lovely deep inhale, we're going to sweep the arms forwards at shoulder height, take them out wide, and lift your chest and feel spacious all the way across the front body. As you exhale, slowly, smoothly bring your hands back to the heart. Let them rest lightly on the heart center. Breathing in, make space, open up the front body. Shine the light from your heart forwards. Breathing out, bring the hands back to the heart. Breathing in, reaching wide. Breathing out, coming all the way back. So it's not a collapsing, it's just a drawing back to center. Breathing in, arms out wide. Breathing out, right hand to the earth and left arm up and over. So if you want to, you can turn your gaze down. That's a bit more grounding. Soften the bottom elbow and the shoulders away from the ears. Then think about the space between your sitting bone and your left fingertips. So your left sitting bone to left fingertips. All the spaces between your ribs, that opening in the side body, and really breathe into that. Support yourself with your underneath hand. And then inhale to slowly rise. Find that pause at the top of the breath, that space. And then when you're ready, exhale to the other side. Keeping that feeling of lengthening all the way from the sitting bone to the fingertips. Breathe into the space in the side body. And then rising all the way back up. Lovely. Bring your hands slightly behind you. Take your legs out in front of you and a little bit wider than hip height. And you can lean back a bit if it feels more comfortable, but try not to collapse in the low back. So try and keep the front body lifted. And then we're just going to bring ourselves and our minds back into our legs. Spread your toes, find space between your toes. And we're going to start to circle the feet. That's it. So nice big circles. And you can point the toes as they come forwards, but keep spreading them out wide as they go backwards. In lovely big circles at the ankles. You can let the legs roll out and in a bit as well. Get a bit of movement in those legs and hips. Stay with your lovely deep breaths. And then go the other way. So big circles, spreading the toes. Lovely. Come to stillness. We're going to slide the feet in so they're flat on the floor. And we've got a nice bit of space between our knees. You might want to lean back a little bit more. We're going to let the knees drop one way and then the knees drop the other way. Keep your elbows bent rather than locking into the joints. And it really doesn't matter how far back you are leaning, as long as you're comfortable, but just keep the chest lifting and broad if you can, so that feeling of space in the front body. Let the legs go as far over as they feel comfortable going. We're just rocking, easing into the hips. Good, bring everything back to center. Maybe walking the feet in a little bit, or they might need to walk out a little bit. See if you can bring your left foot up on top of your right thigh and let the knee drop out to the side. So this will depend a little bit on hip mobility and also how big your bump is. So you might need to straighten that underneath leg, or you might want to take the foot to the floor and bring it in a bit closer. So take nice deep breaths here. Keep lifting your chest, and maybe if it feels good, a little rock from side to side. And just keep it easy and spacious. There is absolutely no need to rush anything now. You can just dwell in this lovely time and space you've given yourself. And it is your space. So really focus on softening the face and breathing deep. Okay, slowly coming back to the center, gently placing one foot down, that left foot down, and the right foot coming up on top. You might need to straighten that leg, whatever works for you. Sliding that left leg in as far as feels comfortable or as far as your bump allows. And then if you want a little movement, a little rock. Nice, soft, easy releasing of those hips. That's it. Okay, come back to center, releasing the legs, and we're going to come onto all fours. So just take your time, bring your legs around, come over, and straight back into child's pose. So if you've got a bolster, you can use that. Got a couple of cushions or pillows, you can create a little bit of a slope for yourself. If you have a bolster, just move it out forward so it's out the way of your bump. And when you're ready, come into a child's pose over your props. So nice wide knees, sit back towards your sitting bones and bring your chest down onto your stack or your bolster or whatever you've got. Come on down into this resting place. Oh, I really need this today as well. It's been a busy day. So just finding that feeling of kindness towards yourself, that feeling that you deserve to rest, you deserve to stop and pause and be here. And bringing your awareness also into the back, and seeing if you can find a bit more space in between the ribs, space in the low back to breathe into. Let those sitting bones settle back to the heels. Find some space between your sitting bones. So sometimes to sort of understand what I mean, you might need to reach back and just kind of connect with your sitting bones, and maybe on one side and then on the other side. They kind of mark the corners of the pelvic floor, the outer edges. So could you just kind of think, right, that's where they are. And then can I create some space in between them? Can I breathe into my pelvic floor? And soften the muscles there. Is there anywhere else in your body that could do with a bit more space? See if you can breathe into that. Find those spaces in between your breaths once again. And when you're ready, slowly, slowly, slowly sliding your hands in, pushing into the ground to rise up, away from your props. Or just move them out to the side, but keep them handy. And then coming forwards onto all fours with your knees a bit wider than hips. You've got some space for bump. And wrists under shoulders. See if you can prop yourself up into these little kind of cupcake hands now. So make a little claw-like shape with some space in the palm of the hand. Place them down on the floor. Take a nice deep breath in. As you exhale, round the spine and push through all of the fingertips and see if you can make some space in the back body. Hug baby in and up to spine. Then take a couple of breaths there. If you can, if you can't breathe, back off a bit. And then have a little wiggle or a sway from side to side. So if you can stay in this slight cat pose and stay in that, have a little sway, have a little movement of your body from side to side, your shoulders from side to side. Good, and then bring it slowly back to center. Flatten out your hands. You might need to give them a little wiggle. Take a nice deep breath in. Find that space, that pause, and as you exhale, round your spine once again. Inhaling, come back through the center. Lift your chest, lift your gaze along the floor in front of you, but not too high, just keep it low. And as you exhale, round your spine. So this movement, really slow and mindful at your own pace and rhythm. Maybe close your eyes. And if you want to make it a bit more creative, so if your body kind of craves that movement, you could start to bring in that idea of kind of wiggling in the shapes, of swaying the hips a little bit, of swaying as you move from one place to another, really gently, really mindfully. You could maybe start to press the body back a little bit towards the heels as you come up into cat, and a little bit towards the hands as you come forward into cow. But I'm talking like a really easy, gentle movement that just gets into those places in your body that feel a bit niggly. So listen to your body, see how it feels, how it wants to move. And slowly bring it back to center. Find that still place in the middle. Okay, we're going to come into a thread the needle pose. So bring your weight into your right hand. Take your left hand all the way up and open. And find some space from hand to hand. And like your wingspan, really nice and broad and wide. And then as you come through, you're going to bring the back of the hand to the floor. Keep it a little bit higher towards the wrists. Slide it as far along the floor away from you as you can. Lower your upper body, lower your head to the earth and place your right hand down. And just take a moment to breathe into that shape. Push a little bit, just gently into your right hand to find that rotation in the spine. And then breathe. Lovely long deep breaths. You're going to press into that right hand to gently, slowly rise up. Find that space across your chest, the space between your hands. And then lower the hand back down. Taking it over to the other side, nice and mindful, opening up your wings, lifting the chest, spreading the fingers, feeling the space between them. Exhaling that right arm through, reach it long, reach it away, bring your head down. Left hand gently presses into the earth and breathe. Again, if you can find those spaces between each breath, do. You can find those still points, stay with them. Pressing into the left hand when you're ready to rise up, opening up across your chest, feeling the space, lovely. Then lowering that hand when you're ready. Good. Okay, let's stretch the arms forwards and a bit wider. Bring the forehead down to the floor, to the mat. Come into a little puppy pose with our bottom in the air. And really bring your awareness into the space underneath your armpits and the space across your chest. And gently walking those hands back in, rising up. Tuck your toes, but take your feet a little bit wider. Walk your hands in and lift your knees. See if you can come into Malasana, garland pose, or squat position. So you probably will have your heels lifted, and sometimes it takes a little bit of adjusting to get somewhere that you feel comfortable. So the feet might need to be a bit closer together or a bit wider apart. See how that feels. If you feel balanced, you can bring your elbows to your inner thighs and your hands together. If you want to keep your fingertips on the floor, go ahead. If this doesn't work for you, take your feet even wider and come into a bit more of a squat here, upright with your feet flat on the floor. So whatever works. And if you're in Malasana, again, space in the pelvic floor, space in the inner hips, space across the chest, breathing deep. Softening in with your exhale if you can. Let your hands slowly come back to the floor, lean forwards, lift your bottom, turn your feet a little bit more forwards, and we'll come into a forward fold. If you want to hang, you can hang your head down. If that doesn't feel very good for you, you can place your elbows just above your knees, palms touching, and maybe even just let the head go for a minute if you can. Breathing there. And then slowly walking ourselves all the way up our legs. So you can use your hands on your thighs if you need to come all the way up to stand tall. Okay, lovely. So finding a nice comfortable position. So your feet under your hips, maybe a little bit wide, and maybe let the toes turn out a bit if that makes you feel more stable. Have a nice softness through the knees and a feeling of spreading through the feet. Gently draw baby to spine. That feeling of holding them, lifting them, and send your tailbone towards your heels. Now let's circle the shoulders a couple of times. A nice, slow, mindful circles, forwards, up and back. Making space around the shoulder joint, space front of the chest, the back of the chest, tops of the shoulders, the bottoms of the shoulders. And then let's bring that circling into a big circle of the arms. So sweep them up nice and gently, open them wide and circle them behind you. Really nice, slow, mindful movements. Keeping a feeling of drawing baby in and up, sending your tailbone down. Lovely, well done. Okay, bring the arms back down by your sides. And this is just a little moving meditation that you can do. So again, soft knees. What we're going to do is we inhale, is we're going to bring our hands forwards and then draw them up to chest height. And it's like you're gathering in your breath. You're gathering it up, the energy from the earth, and bringing it all up to chest height. So that's an inhale. As you exhale, you're going to turn your palms forwards and push them out and send the breath out wide. Then as you inhale, you're going to gather it back in, like you're gathering all that breath in front of you back to your heart. And then exhaling, you're going to imagine that you're pressing that breath down towards the floor, back to the earth. So we're going to inhale, gather everything up, draw up energy from the ground. Exhale, send your breath out and wide. Inhale, sweep the breath back in. Gather in the breath from the space around you. And then exhale, send your energy, send your breath down through your feet to the floor. So I've got my knees quite bent and I'm kind of using that bend in the knees just to help me with every part of the movement, just to really make me feel strong, grounded. So inhale to gather back. And exhale down. So don't rush this. Take as long as you want to. It's quite simple. But really feel the energy that you're sending out and you're gathering back in. Energy of your inhale coming in from the world around you. And then you can send that power anywhere you want, down to the earth, out into the space. Now slow it down even more. See if you can get your movements to last the whole breath. Really visualize where you want your energy to move. One more time. And then the last exhale, let that energy settle down. Bring your hands to stillness. Roll your shoulders open to turn the palms forward and just take a moment in Tadasana here. Let the eyes close or soften the gaze and bring your attention and awareness back to all of those spaces inside your body. Maybe the space around your brain. You can imagine your brain and then this layer of space in between your brain and your skull. The space across the brow and around the eyes and at the eyebrow center. The spaces in the head that you breathe into, all those sinus spaces. Can you breathe in and feel those spaces open? Between the jaw, the spaces in the ears, the back of the neck, the mouth, spaces in between your ears and shoulders, across the top of the chest, the front of the chest, under the armpits, in between all of your fingers, the space of your lungs, and really bringing your awareness into your lungs and how much space is in there as you breathe in. How much space can you fill with breath? The space around baby. The space at the base of your pelvis. The space in between your legs. In between all of your toes. Just feeling that sense of spaciousness through the whole body. Noticing all those spaces. All that room that you have. Okay, so we're going to slowly circle the arms on an inhale. Open your eyes, look up, reach up. As you exhale, bend your knees and fold all the way down over your legs. Bring your hands onto your shins or just above the knees. Lift your heart and have that lovely flat back pose for a moment. So you can come a little lower if that feels okay. And then slowly lower your hands, walk them forwards as you bring your knees back down to the mat. Back into tabletop, back onto all fours. On all fours, let's just take a little wriggle. So wiggle our hips from side to side, like you're wagging your tail. Imagine you've got a great big bushy fox tail. You're swishing it behind you. Let the rest of the body follow along. Let it be nice and easy. If you want to move your head a little bit, you can take your head from side to side. You can slow this down and just wriggle about here. And slow it down even more. Tune into your body. If you want to be in child's pose, not moving, you can be. If you want to be in downward dog, you can be. This is your space. Okay, finding a still place. And then we're going to come into a supported supine position on our backs, but using props if you've got them. So if you've got props, if you've got a bolster, a couple of cushions, bringing them onto your mat. So I like to put the scatter cushions, or your block would be fine if you've got a yoga block or brick, onto the mat first, and then you would lay your bolster on top or a couple of bed pillows on top if you have them. If you don't, I'll give you your alternative will just be side lying Shavasana on your left hand side, but with some lovely pillows in between your legs and under your head and just really nice and propped up. So you want a nice slopey stack. You're going to bring yourself around onto your back. So you can come quite close your low back quite close, and carefully test it out by lying back using your arms for a bit of support and see how it feels. See if it's high enough, see if all the props are in the right place. You can always put another cushion under your head or fold the edge of your pillow over to support the neck and the head into a nice alignment. You can choose where you want your legs to be. So for the low back to feel comfortable, sometimes it's better to have the feet wide. Just lift up your hips and send your tailbone away from you, and then let your knees come together. So that feels quite nice, and the low back gives it a bit more space. You might like to stretch your legs out long or have another bolster or another cushion under the knees. That's also really lovely. Depends what you've got available. You could just cross the ankles, or you could bring the soles of the feet together and knees wide if you felt really super comfy in your hips. So lots of options. Try and pick one. Get comfy. Be really picky about getting comfortable. And because you're on an incline here, you can stay here for quite a long time. So not flat on your back. So it's really safe, this one. It's a really lovely place to be. So get yourself really comfortable. If your hands are down by your side, you can turn the palms up and feel that weight of the arms opening your chest. If you need to move your position of your legs at any point, go ahead and change position nice and slowly and mindfully. Now let's all take a lovely deep inhale together. So lovely deep breath in, right down into the base of the pelvis, all around baby, into our ribs, filling up the whole torso. And let that go with a sigh. Release anything from your day that needs to be let go. Take another one. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And now you're dropping down, settling down into this calm space, into this restful place. Just allowing yourself to switch off. Allowing your body to soften and your mind to be still. Give yourself permission now. Feeling the weight of the body dropping into the earth, being supported by the earth. See if you can give a little bit more of your weight into the trusting that it will hold you and support you. As she is your mother. You can always trust in her love. So in your mind's eye, I want you to create an image, a vision of a really wonderful space. This could be a space indoors, real or imagined, or a space outdoors, real or imagined. Somewhere that you would really like to be. Somewhere that feels calm and soothing. Somewhere that has fresh air. The temperature is really comfortable for you. No one knows where you are, so you can be completely relaxed that no one's going to ask for your attention or time. This is private, this is yours. And just take a moment to fill in details of this room or this space. Notice colours and textures. and smells. And within this space is a really comfortable place to rest. It could be a chair or a bed. Could be a natural grassy bank, but it's just really perfectly fitted to your body. And that's where you are, just resting in this space. It feels peaceful. Let those feelings of peace wash over you. Let them flow through your body. Let them flow into your baby or babies. Let them flow into any parts of you that don't feel very peaceful or calm. Whether that is physical or emotional, let that peaceful feeling wash through you. Notice how your body softens, how your body welcomes it in. Spending a few moments enjoying this place, this space for you. Noticing the rising and falling of your breaths, just natural now, natural pace and rhythm. You might even notice that those spaces have come back of their own accord. Because actually, when we are really relaxed, there is space between our breaths. When we're sleeping, there is space between our breaths. Dwelling in those spaces. If you would like to stay in this peaceful space, you can just tune me out. Rest here a little longer. If you are ready to move, you are going to gradually let that image fade away. Let it go, but know that you can come back to it, that it is available to you. Slowly bring your attention back into your room and into your body. And feeling into any points of contact that you have between yourself and the ground beneath, the props beneath. Feeling into the surface of your skin, any contact between your clothes, feeling of the air on your skin, the hair on the back of your neck. Slowly bringing yourself back to the shape that you are in. And just start to ask the body to wake up really gently. So any gentle movement, start to bring into maybe the fingers and toes, maybe into the muscles of the face. Start to explore how everything feels. Start to wriggle just a bit. Shift about, changing the position of the legs perhaps. Slowly bringing the feet in towards you, the knees going straight up. And when you're ready to, we're going to come over to our left-hand side. So if you shift your bottom right over to the right, roll to your left, but try and stay on your props for a bit longer if you can. Just find a way to kind of be there on your left. Take a couple of lovely slow breaths there. So unhurried, no rush. And then using your hands to help you, we're going to bring yourself up to seated. Just take your time. Come to any comfortable position for a moment with your eyes closed, or reclose them when you get there. Bring one hand to baby, one hand to your heart, and just take a moment to notice. Notice any positive change. Put it on your mental map. And bringing your palms together at your heart space, bowing your head. Giving thanks to yourself, first of all, for giving yourself this space and time. Putting yourself first. To your baby for sharing it with you. To the other women who are joining you live and watching the recording. And to the practice of yoga. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'll stop the recording first.